Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 2 of the Orbital Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Mignon, and the creator of said podcast. Um, y'all, is anybody else feeling island vibes? It could because the weather's warming up, and but I just feel like I belong on someone's beach, sipping a refreshing fruity drink, not necessarily a cocktail. Alcohol does absolutely nothing for me anymore, and the benefits do not outweigh the cons. Um, but man, I just want to lay in someone's sun, the warmth of another sun, a Caribbean sun. Let me know what your vacation plans are this year. You know, where are you headed? I need some new places. You know where I'm finally excited to go? Spain. I've never really desired to go to Spain, but I'm finally feeling like, you know what? I might be able to do a little Madrid, Barcelona, Ibiza, Mallorca. You know, I might. If you have tips and recommendations for Spain, let me know. And I've also been dying to go to Switzerland, right? Switzerland. Yeah. Sweden, Switzerland. I'm not going to tell you that I can point them out on a map. Okay? I'm not going to tell you that. That would be a lie. At any rate, episode 2. I want to listen, y'all know healing is my jam, my Jimmy jam. And I know that depending on where you are in your journey, sometimes you want to listen to something that is helpful but still entertaining, right? Something that you're going to learn something from, but not necessarily in the 1+1=2 kind of way. Just see if something's going to hit your spirit, right? Just like let me tell you something. The Bible says, if any man lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives liberally. And that's what I did. Like I told you guys in the last podcast, around the time I graduated, I started seeking wisdom because I just knew it wasn't it. My friends at the time, we were going to create a web series called Those Girls. So there was a line in the web series that, my character was supposed to say, and it was, go to college, they said. Get your degree, they said. You'll get a good job, they said. Well, I'm on food stamps. Nobody said anything about that. And it was true because at the time I wrote the line is why I remember it, because it was true. I was on food stamps. But because I was working in the nonprofit, it was where the government and the nonprofit intersected. And I was intentionally paid at the poverty level to understand the people I was serving. And it was such a great time in my life. And I know that God had me parked there before I started my career in the industry for a very, very good reason. The same way I know that I went to Pepperdine Film School and it was so focused on theory and criticism rather than, holding a camera. We barely held a camera. We held a camera our like senior year, a little bit of junior year. The program has been revamped since then, but I know that it was God for me to focus so heavily on theory and criticism because, like I said in my last cast, I'm a truth teller. I'm not going to lie. Now, I'll keep my mouth shut, right? I know when the time to say something, when the time isn't. At least I'm still learning that, but now I know you don't got to always tell the truth. And what's her name? I love her so much. Kristen Bell was talking about how her therapist has these really great one-liners, and one of them is, honesty without tact is just cruelty. And so oftentimes people are mean or cruel or thoughtless, and it's under the guise of, I'm just keeping it real. And that is harmful. You are supposed to speak the truth in love. So I wanted to go over the idea of healing, and especially the department of letting go and forgiveness, because What I've come to realize about anxiety, depression, discouragement is that at the root of all those things is fear. And the Bible says that where there is fear, there is torment. But if perfect love casts out fear, right? Because I noticed in the beginning, right, in Genesis, when the serpent deceived Eve, oh gosh, he took the truth and all he did was insert one word and it became a lie. And I have found that whenever I am feeling discouraged, whenever I'm feeling depressed, anxious, whatever, there is a lie that I am believing. And oftentimes, just like in the garden, the opposite is true. He said, you will not die, but you will be like God. That's the other part of it. Whenever the enemy deceives us, not only is it the opposite of the truth, it's usually something that we already have. Eve was already like God. As a matter of fact, the word that God used to describe Eve as a helper is the same one he uses to describe himself as a helper. Eve was literally functioning like her design was to function like the Holy Spirit. She did not come to be Adam's secretary, right? She did not come to stroke Adam's ego, was to literally help him. God said, okay, I'm going to send my help in human form. And he chose woman. Let that land. And so many of us women, we have given away our power because we want to be married, right? We stroke egos. We're pick-me's. We neglect our friendships. That is an area for me as a woman because I don't have the pick-me gene. That's another thing when I was, talking about being kind of like an orbiter and just being different. I don't have the pick-me gene. I don't have the that competitiveness with girls gene. Like I'm a girl's girl. And for a while I didn't think I was a girl's girl because I was closer to my big brother than I was like my mom or my sister. But the older I got, I realized it was like, no, I'm a girl's girl because I'm not about to do all this just to be called by your name, right? And I'm also going to submit to your consideration that another application for the curse that women experience, right? Your desire will be for your husband, but he will rule over you, is patriarchy is so embedded in our society that from the time that girls are born, we are programmed to desire marriage and kids to our detriment. Because I believe that it's from God and I believe that marriage and children is a beautiful thing. But like I said, women, we are already like God. If you give us sperm, we give you an entire human being, right? You give us groceries, we make a meal. Y'all have heard all this before. God is a multiplier. Look what Jesus did with those loaves and fish and fed 5,000. That is literally what women do. God has designed us to do that as well. Maybe not in that same miraculous, in that exact same way, but we are multipliers in that same way, right? So God has the attributes of mother and father. And God created us to be so powerful. And may I submit for your consideration that our preoccupation with marriage and finding a husband and being somebody's wife is how men are ruling over us. I always thought it was literally my husband will rule over me. And there are other applications for this, but that's not the one that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one that God revealed to me earlier this year when he kind of broke me free of that curse. And it was the way we are desiring husbands, the way we're paying dating coaches and sites, and we listen to every dating podcast, and all the advice is for women. Almost all of it is for women. And it's from men, some of them single men. And then the only advice for men is how not to be scammed out of a dinner and not have sex at the end of the night. Like that's all the advice for them. It's telling them how to make sure you get some if you pay for a dinner. Like very little of it is how to be truly godly husbands. And trust me, we're getting to the healing and the forgiveness. I'm trying to show you the foundation of lies in our life. We have programs of lies running in the background. That is what our ego does. Our ego was born out of trauma. So it can only give us a trauma response because it's trying to make sense of trauma. So somebody like me, one of my ego distortions was, gosh, I'll be vulnerable. One that I'm working through right now is I don't trust people. And like from my previous podcast, being an orbiter, being that scapegoat type, it's so hard to trust people when the truth can be staring them in the face. And instead of acknowledging the truth because of their pride or their ego, whatever, the easiest thing to do is to shut you up and to sit you down, right? And to label you and to mark you. And that has happened to me in very, very formidable relationships that were so important. And it was just easier to make me the one that was wrong, right? To make me the one that was off rather than look at the truth. And so I've had a hard time trusting humans. And the thing about healing and forgiveness, it's illogical. What you're going to have to do, what you're going to have to reconcile in your life, so much of your healing is going to be setting aside your justifiable anxiety, mistrust, and pain, and trading it for a greater truth, and that's God's truth. So one of the things that helping me with not trusting people is no weapon formed against me will prosper. Weapons will be formed. So the way that I kind of work through it is I can't deny my pain. I'm not the type of person that can, because it's not true, right? The weapons will be formed, right? That's the pain. Those are the offenses. Those are the things that happen. But they will not prosper. Why? I'm here. I'm here. You're here. One of, my reels that you probably seen was, what if you are alone? Is that not enough? You survived every trauma, every hurt, every obstacle, every pain. You're still here. Now, God has created us for community, and that's why I'm trying to heal that, because if I want to be like Jesus, I can't be running out of church as soon as the closing prayer ends. I mean, when I tell you, you can see dust behind my feet after I leave church, it's not an exaggeration. I'm out of there. I'm out of there. Shake your neighbor's hand. Panic attack. Okay? Heart palpitating. I saw somebody say on a post about it, you know how they had that meme with the dog that looks confused and lost? And it was introverts when when they say shake your neighbor's hand or greet your neighbor. Somebody said, I go to the bathroom at that point. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna steal that. And it was, God looking at me like. So I have a hard time trusting people because of the things that have happened, blah, 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 blah. They're all justifiable. It is logical not to trust people. Look at our world. Look at the world we live in. But again, what does the Bible say? The just shall live by faith, right? We walk by faith and not by sight. That's another thing. Along with getting your cognitive behavioral therapy, you got to know your word. You have to know the truth to debunk the lies. Because to say, people can't be trusted, that's actually not true. You can trust people to be who they are. It's just unfortunate a lot of people have chosen violence, whether it be verbal or physical. People have chosen violence. Like, look at social media. Look how the comment section is like a bloodbath. The gender wars, it's insane. And so for me, so much of my healing has been trading the logic of my pain for the greater truth of who God is and what he says has spoken over me. And then I look at the evidence in my life. Again, like I said, like when I got sisters, I didn't have an agent or a manager. I didn't have all that. But I did have the closest thing I had to like that was I that we'll do that story another time. But I had to audition 3 times. Like I think that was probably the most out of all the characters. Maybe I don't know if they did even the second callback for Sabrina. They just took a while to make a decision, but I had to fight. And y'all, Raven Goodwin was in that callback, and I was praying. I said, God, Raven already had a TV show. Lord, I got $12 to my name. I need this. I said, Lord, counting on you. And she has been so sweet. She's always so kind. Her and Novia are actually good friends. And she's like happy for me, you know what I mean? But I just having been this kind of orbiter and this person who has gone their own way and has had to like figure things out for themselves and be a maverick and in their own lives. Not to say I haven't had help. Um, but there wasn't a consistent person to call except for Jesus. Again, if the churchiness is hard for you, God bless you. I understand. The thing is, all I can say is it's like the song we sing in church. You don't know what he's done for me. You don't know what he's done for me. Gave me the victory. And that's why I love him. Like no one was really able to help me get here. I had one woman send an email to the casting associate. That was the help that I got. And then I auditioned my behind off. So, and that was help. Baby, that was help. But like agent, manager, publicist never did a SAG project, 0 SAG credits, wasn't even SAG eligible. And I went straight onto a series regular role and then number 2 on the call sheet. It's insane. Like that is the evidence that, weapons might be formed against me, but they won't prosper. If God be for me, who, and I say who, can stand against me? If God is for you, he will stop the sun in the sky like he did for Joshua. He will part a Red Sea like he did for the Israelites. That's just how it is. And in your healing, you have got to ask God to meet you there. Like all of my healing, it was God meeting me in the work, right? I do this thing called the neurocycle by Dr. Caroline Leaf. Look it up. I recommend it highly. God meets me there, right? Doing the work to heal is really you just creating space for God to meet you there. But if you don't create the space, there aren't as many opportunities for God to meet you in it. And so healing requires you to create the space for God to work and for God to move. And there is no healing like the healing that comes from God. So like I said, I'm healing like my distrust of people and all that jazz. And God got me to see the root of the issue. Right? The root of the issue is so vulnerable. I will share it, but I'm still in the neurocycle for it, so maybe I'll wait. But Man, I saw the root of that, and I'm still kind of wrestling with it. So, yeah, I mean, that's like a hodgepodge of healing. It's me just kind of, but like I was saying in the beginning, understand the lie you're believing, right? And so, for instance, I don't trust people. The lie I was believing was people will hurt me. And you're like, how is that a lie if people hurt you? Well, if God be for me, who can be against me? So someone might have offended me, hurt me, even harmed me. But did they destroy me? Am I not here? Am I not thriving? Me not thriving is my choice. If I don't thrive in life, that is my choice. Because here you go. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. You got to know the truth. Someone might be able to hurt your feelings. Someone might even be able to get in your way, but they won't prosper. Again, I love David. Saul chased that man for years trying to kill him. And David was a warrior. We all know he could have killed him. As a matter of fact, there's one point in his life where he gives Saul a piece of his cloak and said, I was this close to you. I could have killed you, but you hunt me like a dog. Why? And Saul's like, you are more righteous than I this day. And then shortly after that, Saul finally does meet his justice. But all those years that Saul was hunting David's life, it caused him harm. David was hungry at times. David was homeless at times. He had to literally go fight for the Philistines. You remember the start of his hero's journey was killing Goliath. Well, no. The start of his hero's journey is Samuel coming and anointing him with oil. Him accepting the call to adventure, if you will, was slaying Goliath. What if, I'll say it this way, what if he never slayed Goliath? Right? His story would be very different. So that was him accepting that call to adventure. The same people he had to deliver Israel from, he had to go and fight for like a mercenary because Saul was killing people who helped him. Okay? Saul was hunting him down, had informants all over the country trying to kill him. So David had all kinds of psalms about how that was breaking his heart. And he was like, Lord, how long? When will you deliver me? My enemies hunt me down like a dead dog. Right? And it hurt him. And it was traumatic, right? Your pain and your trauma is real. But if you look at his life, was Saul able to destroy him? Did he not get to the throne? So what if I were to tell you your story's not over yet? A big part of your healing is hope as well. So A, learn the lies that you're believing. B, find the truth. The truth is probably the opposite. And you probably already have the thing, right? You probably already have the love. You probably already have the idea. You probably already have the download you need. I mean, whatever it is, when the serpent deceived Eve, she was already like God. So the devil not only is going to lie to you, he's going to hustle you out of the very thing God has already given you. Kind of like when Jacob took his brother's birthright. Something that's already yours, he's trying to withhold from you. It's like when Jesus was in the wilderness and at the end of his 40-day fast, the devil's like, I'll give you all these kingdoms if you bow down to me. Jesus is Lord of all. You can't give him these kingdoms. Now, yes, God has allowed Satan to run rampant over certain territories. Demons are very territorial. As for instance, in the case where Jesus called the demons out of Legion and then cast them into the pigs, that was that demon's territory, right? So yeah, the enemy has dominion over certain places. That's why if you're a child of God, you ain't got no business being in some places. That being said, if you're a child of God, like the Bible says in Corinthians, I'm pretty sure it's Corinthians for real. It's Corinthians. It's First Corinthians, I think. It says, Paul says, beloved, all things are yours. We'll go with the words of Jesus. All things are possible to them that believe. Knock, and the door will be open unto you. Seek, and you will find. You have not because you ask not. And when you do ask, you ask amiss so you can spend it on your pleasures. Something that you want, you probably already have, child of God. That's number one. So if you're being discouraged, uh, anxious, depressed that you'll never make it out of your situation, the opposite is true because you're more than a conqueror. So, but you got to know the truth, know the lies, learn the truth, and then you can have hope. And then you can forgive. And this is where it's helping me with like distrust of people. This is the scripture that's really starting to resonate with me because, again, the Bible says that we wrestle not with flesh and blood, right? But with principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places. That spirit that causes people to, treat you a certain way, that person is being used. More than likely because they have trauma as well. Well, we all have trauma. So the enemy of our souls uses our trauma as a portal to introduce us to more sin, a portal to hold us in bondage, to create literal strongholds in our mind. Depression is a stronghold. Anxiety is a stronghold. And how did that stronghold get there, though? Some traumatic event, something that happened to you taught you that you can't trust people. So the enemy delivers this stronghold through a portal, and then he uses that stronghold to get you to behave a certain way. So, like I said, I don't trust people and I can be kind of antisocial. Well, someone who is trying to get to know me, their feelings might be hurt because I've got that social anxiety. And so my trauma is now hurting someone else's feelings, which how responsible I am for that person's feelings being hurt, it's debatable. So let's just say there are times where I'm mean. I'll just say straight up mean, right? Like maybe I'm arguing with one of my siblings and I say something mean. That's my hurt and my pain being used to inflict more pain on someone else. So the reverse is true. When someone does a thing that hurts me, their trauma is a portal to be used against me. And so if we wrestle not with flesh and blood, that means it's not the person, it's their trauma being used to harm others, right? Hurt people. And so just like Jesus said on the cross, just like the martyr Stephen said when he was dying, forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do. I'm at a place now where I think about people who have lied on me to protect their jobs. And I understand that person is afraid of losing their job because maybe they come from a situation where they were financially unstable or they have to, pay their car note. And so because, they don't want to lose their job and that fear of losing their job, they lie. And so I can now say, I have compassion for this person because it's not personal. It's just that they don't want to lose their job. It sucks for me. And it makes it hard for me to trust people. But I understand that the reason why they did it is because of that spirit of fear, giving birth to a spirit of lying. And now, it's, it sucks for me. But again, I'm still here. They can't harm me. They can't hurt me. And they can't hurt you. So you got to find the lie you're believing. Understand that the opposite is probably true. Know the truth. Read what God says about you. And, of course, make room for God to meet you in that space to heal, right? Do the neurocycle, go to therapy, do EMDR, journal if you're a journaler. There are so many healing modalities. There is no reason to be stuck in pain, to be stuck in the past, which by then, if you stay stuck in those things, then you'll never live the life that God has for you. And that's, like I was saying in, the previous episode, I realized in that moment, I was like, nobody's going to come fix the things they've done. I have to go get it, regardless of what someone has done to me. They're not saying sorry. They're not losing sleep. I have to go and live my dreams. So that is my suggestion to you. If you feel stuck, if you feel like your pain is holding you back, my prayer is that you find the lie, know the truth, and then have hope and realize you are still here and you are so powerful and you are stronger than you know. And you're stronger than you think. And everybody's rooting for you. Everybody that matters, at least. So I love you. That is the end of episode 2. I love you. This has been the Orbital Tribe. I am Mignon. Stay tuned.